Hello and welcome to Crossfire, where the topics burn and the guests get roasted. I'm your host, Jacob Cheslick, and today we're going to be discussing should Canada get a disconnect law. And today joining us is Kenneth Sisson and Daniel Tobacco. Kenneth, he's a HR manager at a well-known paper company, Dunder Mifflin. He's been working there for nearly 2 decades. And he knows the struggle between work-life balance. How are you doing there, Ken?
I'm doing good, thank you.
Good. Yeah. Glad to hear it. And then on this side, there's Daniel. He's a former mafia boss. After leaving the mafia, he opened up a well-known, or not a well-known, a Margaritaville. And he's been pretty successful in business so far. How's business going?
It's pretty good. Made name for self.
Good. Glad to hear it. All right. Well, to get everybody up to speed, we have this clip from Global News about Australia getting their right to disconnect law. So here's the clip.
Pick up.
Have you ever wanted to ignore your boss?
Hello?
This is Mike Tyson.
Australians now have the right to by law. Employees cannot be punished for refusing to read or respond to messages outside business hours.
It's really hard to switch off as it is. So having these laws come into place where, we really do disconnect is really important.
It's the latest country trying to stop work emails from invading personal lives. Employers could be fined more than $85,000 Canadian for, quote, unreasonable contact during off hours.
People should not feel obligated to be connected in one way or the other to their work all the time.
It's hard to avoid the constant ringing and pinging as more of us find ourselves terminally online.
Pardon me.
And since the pandemic further blurred the lines between home and work.
Welcome. That was a very informative clip. But on average, how many hours per day do you guys work? How about there, Ken?
On average,
yeah.
A day, it's probably going to look like an 8-hour day, like a regular day at Dunder Mifflin.
Okay.
On an average week, it's 40 hours on the call, on the job, yeah.
All right, that seems like a lot. How about you there, Dan?
Work don't stop. Work happen all week. You don't just stop at 8 hours. You need to work all week or else business go downhill. You need to, work is life.
Fair enough. All right. What industry would you guys say would benefit the most from a right to disconnect law?
I think every industry is going to benefit if there's a right to disconnect in Canada, especially in Alberta. But I totally disagree with working all week nonstop. I think every employee deserves to disconnect and stop working or thinking about work after their day's done.
Fair enough. How about you on the other side here?
I think if the law go through, business will go downhill. People talk about work-life balance, yes, but work is life. You go to business, you take that upon yourself in life.
Okay, all right. Is there an industry that you guys would say would be hurt by it? Hurt by the disconnect law?
No industry would benefit. It would only damage livelihood. Makes sense?
Yeah.
In mafia, when I worked, cell phones and communication were very big deal. You needed to be on the wire all time. Need to make sure to make call. If you can't make call or answer call, big thing could happen.
That's a little unrealistic, though, because that was the mafia. It should be universal, right, with the regular population.
But if there's business shipment, like margaritas coming in, Ring, ring, hello. Margarita's coming in. Employee, pick up. If employee doesn't pick up, where are the margaritas going to go? They can't go and shop. They leave out. People steal. Business go downhill. That shipment, loss in money. You lose money if law go through.
All right. Well, that's some pretty good arguments for both sides. We'll be back after these opening announcements. Thanks. Yeah.
Introducing your Crowfoot Coyotes!
Hockey is an after-school sport that teaches
friendship, teamwork, respect,
and much more.
Hockey is really, really competitive and a fun activity.
How about you get your career started today? Because after all,
hockey is for everyone!
sign up at crowfoothockey.com.
Some people think history is boring, but we think Calgary's history is fly. Our members help us tell Calgary's story. Together we can learn about our community and the adventures that help build it. If you're as excited about Calgary's history as we are, you can sign up on our website. thehangarmuseum.ca, a museum with altitude.
I'll be fine.
The leopard gecko is found in the Middle East. Despite the climate they live in, the leopard gecko is only active during the mornings and dusk. It's imperative that they get the heat they need, as that helps them digest their food. They prefer to stay hidden and keep under rocks for protection. Do your research before you buy any amphibian or reptile. They are all so vastly different, and each require research to care for properly. For more information, visit our website at albertareptiles.ca.
Welcome back to Crossfire. Let's heat up this debate. Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Yep. Are you ready?
Good to hear. What sort of mental health implications would you say there would be if there was a right to disconnect law here in Canada?
There would be a lot of health implications if the right to disconnect law didn't get passed, because you would get, or a regular Joe would be hired by an employer, and their employer can write anything to in part of their written agreement and their policy, because an employer would then have their employee signs say something like, you need to be on the call 24/7, and if they agree to that, now they have the right to fire them if they disobey that policy. And the government, like employment services, like the ESA in Canada, wouldn't be able to do anything because you signed an agreement. So it would be, not only would it complicate things with your ability to get jobs, your mental health would be pretty affected in a negative manner, because you would always be paranoid about getting a phone call in the middle of the night, or if you're partying with your friends or hanging out with your family, raising your kids. It'll be very detrimental to your mental health if you're constantly thinking about your work phone.
Fair enough. That's some good arguments there.
But
now, how about you?
What about service worker, like firemen? If there's a fire and they need to go and assist that job, but they can't because, work time over, put phone away, no more work.
Well,
what happened then?
It's definitely a case-by-case basis. If you're working for EMS or anything emergency related, you're going to have some sort of connection, but there is, with the technology and communications we have now, it's definitely a culture of being connected all the time, and the right to disconnect law will help a lot of people handle their mental health, handle their business, handle everything in their life. But for EMS people, that's what they agreed to, and there are certain agreements you can do if you're a fireman, like whoever employed you. There are certain agreements there, like you're on call, but it's a case-by-case basis. That's definitely important to know.
You talk about mental health of worker. What about mental health of bossmen who run big business, who want to make sure it survives to next generation? What about his mental health or her mental health?
I think the boss's mental health is as important as any employee underneath them. You could be part of middle management, you can be a laborer, a blue-collar worker, you could be a doctor, you could be a CEO of Margaritaville. It's important. Your mental health is very important for the efficiency, productivity, and your overall mental sanity.
But without boss, how would work go forward? You see, employees, people only work and then move on to next job or go and leave. That is what employees do. But boss stay, boss work, boss live. That is how CEO manage.
The boss doesn't have to bury himself in his own work. You're paving your own path of self-destruction, and you're gonna burn out really fast if you're constantly locked in 24/7, answering emails constantly, 2 hours of sleep. It's gonna pile up, and you're definitely going to regret it in the later. You might even shorten your lifespan.
So on that note, you would say it could be abused by the employers then?
The right to disconnect
the right
law,
to disconnect, yeah.
Depending on the policy. So the reason the government needs to intervene and implement a right to disconnect is so that employers can't abuse employees, and employees have the right to agree or disagree with whatever kind of a policy that employer has. They can't apply really restrictive rules, such as the example I gave earlier, like on an 8-hour workday. But after that 8-hour workday, when you're home, you need to be on the call. And if you break that, we have the right to terminate you. That's unagreeable. I would not agree to something like that.
But why?
But why?
Why unagreeable? You would not want to? My mind doesn't fathom that. If I were be hired by another boss, he told me that, I would be fine. Okay, I work. My life is meant to be with job. How else other than job? Am I meant to get money, to help family, to help, to get what I need to get for food, water, bill?
But I agree with you, but the distinction here is that this rule needs to apply to everyone. It is a case-by-case basis, so the employers can make their own rules and have their employees sign specific policies, but the right to disconnect law enables the protection of the employee who signs these agreements, but it can only do so much depending on what you actually sign for. If you sign for something that's you need to have your phone on call for once every week, that's fine. What if you miss one call and then your employee decides to fire you? That's not a cause for termination. ESA can definitely get involved and fight for the employee.
But the employee read contract. The employee sees the variable. They see, the boss says this, okay, and they decide to sign, then that is their decision. They read contract for that reason. If they don't want in, they don't need to take job. I hire next person.
Would you guys say that there would be any laws that need to be changed with that being said? Like if Canada brings on a right to disconnect law?
I think it's definitely a first foot into the door thing, but a lot more laws need to be implemented to protect employees.
Okay. What type of laws would you say need to be implemented then?
Well, I'm no lawyer, but it's definitely going to have to be something that benefits or helps the employees' mental health and their stay at whatever business or whoever they work for.
Okay. As a boss, or actually, never mind. This debate has gotten really heated, so we'll be taking a little bit of a break here. When we return, we'll be hearing from some arguments from our guests.
Poor person looks the same. We need to educate ourselves and our community on the signs of poverty and how to fight against it. The more we understand poverty, the more we can help those affected. Do your part by educating yourself and those around you. A message from the Canadian Poverty Institute.
Hey, why isn't your real name on your degree?
Legal name changes are just so expensive, I couldn't afford that and tuition.
Oh, what about the Sea Change Collective? They provide funding and support to trans, two-spirit, and gender diverse students seeking name changes.
Oh, that's fierce.
The Sea Change Collective, because everyone deserves to see their name on their degree. For more information, go to seachangecollective.ca.
Drink local.
All right, that was some very informative not arguments, but how would the right to disconnect law affect workplaces? Let's start with you here, Daniel, because Kenny's had a lot of the floor here.
It would affect my workplace, in my job, because if employee can't be on call and need to go into a restaurant in case break-in, or if there is just something wrong and place isn't clean or needs quick cleanup in case party next day for a big company get-together at my Margaritaville, then how are we going to organize that in time? Last-minute calls if you need it. Maybe there'll be a little bonus for you later. We still compensate for said work. It's not like it's extra work going unnoticed. I would never do that. Not to an employee, not to someone who I consider family. Everyone who works under me is family. They are like a niece, a nephew, maybe even a son or a daughter. To me, it affects workplace because I can't have those last-minute calls. I can't get people in there. If I'm outside of traffic and I need so-and-so employee in, I need them in.
What if they can't get in?
Then I call next employee. They can still say, hey, I'm busy, but they need to be on call so I can at least reach them. If I can't reach them, then what's purpose?
That's definitely a little hard to manage there as being a boss. Yeah, I could totally see that side of the argument. How would the right to disconnect be enforced, you guys would say?
I would enforce it with a contract.
Okay.
Have it written in, not in fine print.
It has to be in fine print. That's part of a legal contract.
No, but it would be big letter, not fine print as in legal, as in so they see it. So it's not hidden away. Some bosses do that so they can just fire an employee. I do it so then they know what they're getting into.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That I would agree. That's how it would be enforced as well. But it is important to know that if it's illegal to put something in your legal document that confuses your employer just because of like some legalese.
There's no confusion if you can't come in because of some bogus reason.
All right, thanks you guys. That's our show today. Thank you guests for being here. And next week we'll be talking about the morals and ethics of editing human genomes. And see you guys then.